Have you ever woken in the early morning when the first light has yet to warm your skin and found your mind like a mirror clouded with mist, and in that mist his face appears so vivid that your heart trembles? He is no longer here. No more messages. No more presence in the small moments of your day. And yet, like a star that has already set but whose light still travels through the darkness, he remains alive somewhere deep within you. Perhaps in that half-shut realm of the unconscious, where old silhouettes still wander the corridors of memory. This is not mere longing. It feels like an invisible red thread linking two worlds, one outer, where all has fallen silent, and one inner, where his presence still beats in rhythm with your heart. Carl Jung once said, "What is not made conscious will appear in your life as fate." And sometimes that person is only the mirror reflecting the part of your unconscious you have never truly faced. Imagine for a moment if the mind is a garden, then each thought is a seed. Every time you think of him, you water the same plant. That plant could be a sweet memory, or it could be a vine that winds tightly around your heart, stealing your breath. But do you truly know what you are nurturing? Is it love, fear, or simply the familiar place where your soul once took shelter? In the next few minutes, we will go deeper, not merely to answer the question, why does he keep appearing in my mind? But to explore whether this is the sign of a connection that transcends time, or the repetition of an emotional pattern your unconscious refuses to release. Most importantly, how can you transform that energy into inner strength, clarity, and freedom? Take a deep breath, let your shoulders soften. We are about to open the door into the realm where mind and soul meet, where every image and memory holds a hidden message. And perhaps at the end of this path, you will realize the story was never truly about him, but about you. You know, when you think of someone over and over, even long after they've left your life, it's not simply the accident of a wandering mind. In Carl Jung's language, it is the movement of psychic energy. Where your attention goes, energy flows. And this energy is never still. It moves like a stream, continuously nourishing the ground it touches, whether that ground is a blooming garden or a barren wasteland. Every time your mind drifts back to their image, you're feeding an invisible connection, a thread that can vibrate without a single word being spoken. Jung described another phenomenon called projection. This is when you unconsciously place upon another person the qualities, dreams, or fears that actually live within you. You don't just see him as a separate individual, you are seeing a version of yourself reflected through him. Perhaps it's the tenderness you long to touch, or the strength you've always felt was missing. The problem is, when you believe he is everything I need, you are often searching for missing pieces of your own soul. This is why sometimes, even when the relationship is over, you still feel as if he's still here. Because what you are attached to is not only the flesh and blood person, but the symbol, the archetype that he represents. He might be the image of the savior, the ideal lover, or even the shadow of an unfinished childhood memory. Each archetype is a doorway into the unconscious, and every time you think of him, you open that doorway again. Ask yourself, what are you truly holding on to, the person or the feeling he once gave you? If it's the feeling, it has always belonged to you. It has always lived inside you. But if you are unaware of this, the mind will keep searching for it outside, and sometimes it will repeat the same emotional cycle over and over. I know this truth feels both deep and piercing, but recognizing it is the first step toward reclaiming the authority over your own energy. Instead of letting it orbit around a fading image, you can pour it into what makes you feel alive, a new passion, a creative journey, or relationships that nourish and expand you. And this is why I want to invite you to connect with our community, a place where people on the path of self-understanding can share their stories, their lessons, and their encouragement. In this space, you'll see you are not alone. You'll meet people who have felt the same unbreakable pull you feel now, and who have found a way to transform it into the strength to move forward. When you begin observing yourself instead of only watching the other person, you'll see that the images you project outward can be called back home and integrated within. This is a crucial step in the process Jung called individuation, the journey of becoming the fullest, most authentic version of who you were always meant to be. And in the next part, we'll go deeper into how to tell the difference between a genuine soul connection and an emotional loop that your unconscious is replaying for you. Because only when you can distinguish between the two can you truly love without being bound by the past. Stay with me, because the answer to the question, how can I let go while still keeping love in my heart, is just ahead. There is a truth Carl Jung often emphasized. We do not live only by what happens outside us. We live by the story our mind is telling on the inside. When someone has left your life but keeps appearing in your thoughts, the story hasn't closed. It's like a book abandoned at its climax. You keep turning back to the last page hoping for a different ending. But on the level of Jungian psychology, this isn't just longing or regret, it is a cycle of energy that has not yet been released. Jung called this the binding of libido, not libido, in the narrow sense of sexuality, but as your life force. When this energy is overly concentrated on one image or memory, it becomes like a river blocked by a dam. Instead of flowing outward into the world to nourish new experiences, it circles endlessly in a closed reservoir, creating the feeling of obsession, repetition, and sometimes a bittersweet ache you can quite let go of. This mechanism is often entwined with another Jung explored in depth, the enchantment of the archetype. Each of us carries within the unconscious a set of primordial images, archetypes such as the ideal lover, the savior, or the destined companion. When someone in the outer world matches one of these inner images, psychic energy ignites instantly. And if that link is broken, the mind clings, not just because it has lost a person, but because it has lost the symbol that person embodied. Jung saw this again and again in his analyses. Patients could not let go of someone, not because the actual relationship was flawless, but because they believed that person held the key to a missing part of their soul. What they had not yet realized was that the key had always been in their own hands. The unconscious had simply placed it in someone else's keeping. Picture this: you stand before an old house, the door to the treasure room of your soul locked tight. Someone appears and suddenly you believe they are the only one who can open it. When they leave, you assume the door will stay forever closed. But the truth, as Jung would say, is that the lock was built to open from the inside. That person's role was only to make you aware of the door. The rest of the journey is yours to take. So how do you step out of this loop? Jung would tell you, get acquainted with what you are feeling instead of fighting against it. Every emotion is a fragment of the soul, and when you observe it without judgment, it begins to reveal what it is protecting. Perhaps it is an old fear of abandonment or a deep hunger for recognition and love that you have never given yourself. One of Jung's favorite tools for this was active imagination, a conscious dialogue with the image or feeling that haunts you. Close your eyes and imagine sitting across from the version of that person in your mind. Ask them, what do you represent in me? What have you come to remind me of? This is not to call them back into your life, but to reclaim the parts of your soul you unconsciously handed over. I also invite you to join our community, a place where you can share your experiences, hear the stories of others on their own Jungian journeys, and receive support from those who understand that healing is a process, not a destination. Here you will find the language, tools, and courage to transform trapped energy into creativity and a renewed joy in living. And when you begin to reclaim that energy, something remarkable happens. The image of that person slowly loses its hold over you. Not because you've tried to forget, but because you poured that energy back into your own life. New doors begin to open, opportunities, relationships, and even new versions of yourself. In the next part, we'll explore how to tell the difference between genuine intuition and obsession born of the unconscious, a subtle but critical line that determines whether you are walking the path of mature love or simply repeating an old script. This is the step that allows you not only to let go, but to open your heart to a connection that truly aligns with who you are today. Stay with Methus is the moment when the map of your soul will come into focus more clearly than ever before. There is an archetype Carl Jung called the archetype of the lover. This is not merely the image of a romantic relationship, it is a deep symbol of vitality, union, and the longing to merge with something greater than oneself. When this archetype is awakened within you, it unleashes a current of energy so powerful that you may mistake it for destiny. The person you are thinking of may have unconsciously triggered this archetype, making you feel as though only they could bring you this kind of intensity. But Jung reminds us that archetypes are ancient patterns, and anyone who resonates with their frequency can awaken them. This means the feeling you have does not actually belong to the other person, it belongs to you. It is a part of your own soul longing to be fully lived. And if you do not realize this, you will keep attributing all that value and vitality to someone else rather than integrating it into yourself. Alongside the archetype is another psychological phenomenon: transference. This occurs when you unconsciously transfer unfulfilled emotions, expectations, or needs from your past onto someone in the present. For example, if a part of you has long craved understanding and safety, you might project all of that longing onto this person, even if the relationship has not had the time or foundation to provide it. This makes the connection heavy because you are not just seeing them as they are, you are seeing them as the one who can bring the missing piece into your life. Jung observed many patients caught in this state, especially in romantic relationships. The emotions become intense, even obsessive, because they are not only about the present moment, they are touching deeper layers from childhood or experiences long imprinted in the unconscious. This is why when the person leaves, the pain is not just the loss of a relationship, it feels like the loss of a part of your identity. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, which part of me is this person reflecting? Which archetype is being awakened? Once you can answer that, you begin to reclaim those parts and live them in your own life without depending on a particular person to carry them for you. This is also where the power of community becomes essential. On the Jungian path, sharing and hearing the experiences of others not only helps you feel understood, helps you recognize the patterns you might not see in yourself. I invite you to join our community, a place where stories of love, loss, and rebirth are shared in a spirit of support and companionship. Here you will see you are not alone in stepping out of old cycles and into a new chapter of freedom. Because as Jung once said, we cannot change anything until we accept it. When you become conscious of what is truly happening, from the lover archetype to the mechanism of transference to your own projections, you can finally choose how to use that energy. No longer a chain that binds you, it becomes a force for creation and for love that is mature and whole. And in the next part, we will explore practical steps to integrate this energy into your daily life, that you not only release an obsessive love, but transform it into the foundation for a new one, deeper, more stable, and more enduring. This is where theory becomes practice, and you will see that you truly can step out from the shadow of the past. Stay with Methus is where the journey comes alive. In Carl Jung's thought, there is a central concept: individuation, the process of becoming wholly yourself, uniting both the conscious and the unconscious. This is not only the path to healing, it is also the foundation for attracting a relationship that truly aligns with who you are. Because when you have not yet recognized and integrated the parts of yourself you've left behind, you will go searching for them in others, and that often leads to dependency or the repetition of old patterns. Individuation is like becoming the lighthouse keeper of your own soul. Every shadow, every forgotten feeling, every trait you once rejected must be illuminated and welcomed home. When you do this, you no longer need anyone to complete you, and it is precisely this wholeness that becomes a natural magnet for healthy relationships. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." The same is true in love. Before stepping onto the path of individuation, you may find yourself drawn to those who awaken the missing parts within you, but at the same time, they may leave you feeling insecure and lacking. In contrast, when you have learned to stand firmly on your inner ground, the person you attract will not be your other half, but a true companion, two whole circles overlapping rather than two broken pieces trying to fit together. What's remarkable is that when you truly live in this state, you no longer have to chase love. Love finds you differently, not loudly, not anxiously, not with the feeling that if I lose this, I will collapse. Instead, it comes with a quiet trust, a calm strength, and the ability to love without losing yourself. If you're wondering where to begin, remember that individuation is not a task to complete in a few weeks or months. It is a lifelong journey, starting with listening to yourself each day, noticing what triggers strong emotions, and asking, which part of me is being awakened here? When the answer comes, greet it as you would an old guest returning home. And to walk this path more steadily, I invite you to join our community, a space where each person is on their own journey toward becoming their most authentic self. There you'll find empathy, fresh perspectives, and sometimes mirrors that help you see parts of yourself you never noticed before. In the next part, we will discuss how to transform stuck emotional energy into creative power and a source of inspiration, so that you not only heal, but also use this very experience as the raw material for a more vibrant chapter of life. This is the step where theory becomes action, and you will see that everything that once caused you pain can become the very thing that makes you shine. In the depths of Jungian psychology, There is a transformative pair of concepts, animus and anima, the archetypes, that represent the masculine aspect within a woman and the feminine aspect within a man. Jung believed that each of us carries both of these elements within, and the growth of the soul cannot be complete without the integration of the two. When a woman finds herself constantly thinking about a man, it is sometimes not because he is so uniquely special that he could never be replaced, but because he has unconsciously touched the animus within her, the part that represents direction, strength, protection, and the ideals she longs for. Similarly, for a man, the image of a woman can awaken the anima, the part that embodies softness, intuition, and the nurturing qualities of his inner life. The fascinating thing is, if you are not yet conscious of your animus or anima, you are likely to seek them outside of yourself, expecting the other to bring you inner balance. And so each time that person disappears, you feel as though you have lost a part of yourself. But the truth is, what you are seeking has never been out there. It has always been within you, simply waiting to be recognized and welcomed back into wholeness. The process of animus-anima integration not only helps you heal from emotional obsessions, it also allows you to become more complete. When you integrate the masculine and feminine within you, feel full, confident, and capable of creating relationships that are not built on lack, but on the freedom of conscious choice. Love then becomes the meeting of two full souls, rather than two incomplete halves searching for what they are missing. Take some time to observe in the connection that stirs you so deeply. Which part of your animus or anima is the other person reflecting? Do they embody the strength you want to claim, or the gentleness you have not yet allowed yourself to fully live? Once you can name it, you can begin to bring that quality into your own life, rather than relying on someone else to deliver it to you. This is where community can become the bridge that carries you further. In our shared space, you will meet others who are also exploring their animus and anima, and you will find that sharing and hearing each other's experiences opens doors of awareness you could not have imagined alone. When you take this journey with others, you realize wholeness is not a solitary destination, but a path that can be supported by deep human connection. In the next part, we will step into the conclusion on a place where every Jungian concept, every emotion, and every realization you have explored will weave together into a living map, showing you how to hold love in your heart while walking freely on your own path. This will be the moment when everything you heard since the beginning of this video becomes clear, and you will see what you have been seeking in another was in truth an invitation to come home to yourself. As this journey draws to a close, I want to leave you with an image, a garden within your soul, where every part of you, both light and shadow, is tended to like rare flowers. Carl Jung once said that we do not become whole by banishing the darkness, but by integrating it into the light. In the same way, true love is not about finding someone to fill an empty space, but about sharing the wholeness you have discovered within yourself. The person you once thought was irreplaceable may simply have been a mirror reflecting aspects of your soul you had never recognized. And when you have the courage to look into that mirror without running away or clinging, you begin to see clearly everything you've been searching for outside of yourself is in truth the echo of something within you that longs to be fully lived. Remember, the process of becoming yourself, individuation, is not a final destination, but a living path that unfolds day by day. Along that path, you will meet yourself in many forms at many stages, and each time you will become freer, more at peace. And the beautiful paradox is this: when you truly live with that freedom, you become a natural magnet for the relationships that are meant for you, without ever needing to chase them. I invite you to hold on to one question after this video ends. What within me is waiting to be seen, loved, and integrated? When you dare to seek the answer, you'll find you no longer need to hold on to anyone to feel complete. And it is in that moment that true love finally finds its way to you. If what you've heard today resonates with you, I invite you to leave a comment below. Share what you've discovered about yourself after hearing this story. And if you want to continue walking with me on the path of deep psychology and Jungian healing, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so that each week we can meet again in a space where you discover more of the missing pieces of yourself. Because in the end, what you are searching for is not another person, but you, the whole free, radiant version of yourself who has been waiting for you all along.